From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. President Bola Tinubu departs Brazil following high-level state visit focusing on strengthening bilateral cooperation. Nigeria's police chief, Kayode Egbetokun, sues human rights activist Omoyele Sowore, accuses him of forgery and defamation. Court convicts South African activist and opposition politicians Julius Malema of hate speech following 2022 rally remarks.
In business, Central Bank of Nigeria directs that all point of sale terminals be geotagged within 60 days to check fraud.
In sports, Nigerian champions Bayelsa Queens move one step closer to qualification for CAF Women's Champions League with another win on Wednesday.
A warm welcome. Tonight begins now. Thank you once again for being here. Tonight begins in Brasilia, where President Bola Tinubu has just departed after a high-level state visit to strengthen Nigeria-Brazil ties. Reports say Tinubu's presidential jet departed around 1 a.m. local time from Brasilia International Airport after a farewell ceremony and a guard of honor attended by Nigerian and Brazilian officials, including Brazil's ambassador to Nigeria and Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. While in the South American country, President Tinubu met with Brazil's counterpart, Lula da Silva, and signed 5 memoranda of understanding covering aviation, foreign affairs, science, technology, and agriculture. And the latest from the African Chief of Defense Staff Summit. As it wraps up, the continent's top military brass have reaffirmed their commitment to confronting emerging threats to the continent's peace and security with a strong call for strategic collaboration. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, in his final address says Africa's future depends on working together to tackle challenges such as terrorism, piracy, cyber warfare, and armed banditry. The summit, which ended in Abuja, stressed the importance of intelligence sharing, border security, indigenous defense technologies, and sustainable financing as crucial to safeguarding Africa's stability. Participants adopted a communique committing to regional partnerships, signed an MoU for an international defense exhibition in 2026, and pledged to translate summit discussions into actionable national and regional policies. General Musa, who hosted the summit, described unity as Africa's greatest weapon. Let's get some further update. My colleague who has been on the summit ground, Sage Ibrahim, is here to give a recap of the 3-day event. Sage, thank you for keeping tabs on this very crucial summit. Could you do a quick recap for us, highlighting the items that stood out for you?
Good evening, Felicity. Thank you so much for having me. I'll just start by stating the Chief of Defense Staff of Nigeria's final comments to his colleagues from the different African countries who honored his invitation here. He mentioned that our borders may divide us, but our destiny binds us. He added also that a secure Africa is a prosperous Africa, and a prosperous Africa is a beacon to the world. The theme of the summit is combating contemporary threats to regional peace and security in Africa, the role of strategic defense collaboration. One thing that you would hear consistently and continuously at this conference is collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. The need for Africa's military to collaborate in order to face its common enemy, which is threats by unscrupulous criminal elements, terrorists, bandits, pirates, and the likes of that, which has continued to bedevil the African continent for the longest time. Key focus of the discussion, like I mentioned at the beginning, strategic collaboration in terms of intelligence sharing, joint training, and also investment in indigenous technologies, because they stress on the need to focus on local solutions in addressing local problems. One of the key issues that they had mentioned is how difficult it has been, especially with regards to importing some of what they would describe as solutions to their problems, which also includes, of course, hardware and military equipment. Some of them had mentioned how difficult it has been, especially in terms of servicing this equipment, among many other issues. The need for generating local solutions, local manufacturing capabilities to address Africa's local threats was re-emphasized more than enough times here. They went on to talk about border security because, of course, you know, an unsecure border can only lead to terrorism and also corruption moving from one border, one nation's border, of course, to yours. The conversation went on to talk about the need for counter-radicalization strategies and also intelligence sharing. Another area of conversation was on technology and innovation, because this time they stressed on the need to adopt AI in addressing contemporary challenges. This, of course, many of those who were here spoke on, especially because they have agreed that, yes, technology is changing, times are changing, threats have become digital, and the only way to address this is to set up early warning mechanisms, most of which can only be made possible by adopting AI and, of course, adopting technology. Conversation went on, of course, to defense financing and also self-reliance. One thing that we know about this collaboration is it's going to be large, it's going to be huge, it's going to be sharp, but it's also going to be expensive. So, of course, they need to rally resources, they need to rally to collaborate among one another, and of course, with the aim, of getting to self-reliance was stressed, of course, more times as the event went on. Maritime security was also another area that was focused on because, of course, as you know, Africa's trade routes also include its sea and also its water bodies. And if it is not safe, the issue of piracy continues to rear its ugly head. Recommendations and resolutions ended up with the adoption of a communique which was read out to representatives of Chief of Defense Staff and also Chief of Defense Staff from African countries that were here present. They also went on to sign an MoU, of course, for a defense exhibition which is expected to hold in Lagos. This is supposed to provide another platform for the defense chiefs and also military officers from across Africa to come in and to learn from each other, see what other African counterparts are doing in terms of innovation in defense and military hardware, and of course, finally, translate the summit to action. It is not enough to just have conversations that last 3 days and talk about the issues continuously. One has to see this conversation move from the mere talks that they are to action. And this is the reason why they are saying it is important and it is necessary for forums like this to continue so that they can come back, reassess their strategy, and of course, redeploy new ones in order to address Africa's continuous threat and also meet it up using contemporary military strategies. Back to you in the studio, Felicity.
Exactly. I mean, you were quite exhaustive with the recap of events. I actually wanted to ask you this question. I will ask you. I know we're time pressed, but the summit, one of the recap was a pledge to translate the summit discussions into actionable national and regional policies. Did you take note of that particular statement? Were there, aside from the pledge, were there actions that inspires confidence that this will not end up a talk shop? We hear that all the time.
Well, Felicity, a key thing to note here is the plenary sessions were made to accommodate just the defense chief, their representative, security expert. It was limited to media coverage. And of course, this would only mean that they want their strategies to be the knowledge of these strategies to be limited to those who is concerned. So as far as we know that they seem not to be joking about this situation. They seem to be ready and willing to collaborate. They seem to be ready and willing to partner with each other, talk to each other, learn from each other, especially those who are making stride in the area of security and whichever stride it is that they are making. So what I can say here is they've made the call, they've talked tough. What we can do is wait for the next conference to hold, and when the next summit holds, we can then do a comprehensive review of what this summit put out and whether they were able to achieve any form of progress or not.
Yeah, please go catch your needed rest. Thank you for the coverage. I'll speak later. Some legal matters now. The Inspector General of Police has filed a criminal lawsuit against activist and publisher Omoyele Sowore. The police accuse Sowore and Sahara reporters of forging an internal police wireless message. The alleged forged document, said to carry the signature of the principal staff officer to the IGP, was reportedly circulated to stir discontent within the force. The 3-count charge filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja includes forgery, defamation, and incitement to mutiny. The police allege the conspiracy happened around July 30, 2025.
This persecution is historical, and today we are only witnessing that history. But I can guarantee you that these guys will be defeated and disgraced. It's just a matter of time. I've made myself available to answer to all their charges, but I also made myself available to throw my life on the line to ensure that my convictions are not tampered with.
The Police Act clearly forbids any police officer, serving or retired, from using the instrumentalities of the office of the police force to fight for personal vendetta and as a means of settling personal score. The instant charge today is an example of such an abuse of prosecutorial.
I'm now joined by the human rights activist and politician Omoyele Sowore to clear the air on these allegations against his person. Thank you very much for being here tonight. You've had a long day. You were in court today. You don't seem to have a lot of faith or believe that this will amount to anything, yet you appear in court. Why?
Well, as a law-abiding citizen of Nigeria, I make myself available whenever I'm instructed to do so by our courts, by even our institutions like the police, even though I have no faith in them. But this is to just let people know that even though we may not have faith in the leadership, we have the belief that these institutions over time will be answerable to the people. So that's why I was in court today.
You've had a long, fractured relationship with the police in Nigeria. This time, they're alleging forgery of police internal memo, defamation, among others. Are you guilty as charged? Or?
Well, so one of the things that was very bizarre today was that in the charges, they allege no defamation in the 3-count charge amended as was presented in court. But in the body of evidence, I think they forgot one of the witnesses who was a police officer who was a PSO to the IGP, one Bukola Kuti, who allegedly was accused of being a mistress to the IGP and was unduly promoted, provided handwritten statements that did not allege forgery, but allege that I accused her of being IG's girlfriend. But when you go back to the allegations or the 3-count charge, there's nothing like that. But I think they were just so much in a hurry, they had to just put something together. So it is the nature of the incompetence at the highest level of the police force.
You said something during the interview you granted after the court hearing. You said there are more important things that should be taking the attention of the police, but this seems to be a priority. So, and some would argue that your presence in court also gives it feel, even though you say that it is to be a law-abiding citizens. How did these allegations take such stance with the police in the first place, and how soon do you expect this to go off?
I don't expect it to go off anytime soon because I know that the Nigerian state has an issue with people who are honest, right, and who are interested in good governance, who are interested in fighting against the violation of human rights and the stripping of the dignity of the Nigerian people. So in some ways, I know that even if these charges were to fizzle out, just like the one they filed in February of 2025, it's fizzling out. The one that led to the seizure of my passport. they will bring up new charges again because it's a sustained battle between evil and good.
The court has ordered banks to furnish the IGP with account details linked to you. Are you going to challenge that?
It doesn't matter. It's a repetition of the same thing that was done against me in 2019. If you would recall in the media, in 2019, President Buhari then accused me of treason, money laundering, and cybercrime. And they also, in that situation, they didn't even go public. They went to magistrates to request through the NFIU on my account statements, and then lied that I've been to Dubai. I was being funded in that revolutionary movement with $100 million. But when the account statements were provided to them, they were so disappointed that they had to drop the money laundering charges. So this is just all general harassment. They just feel like if you are buffeted left, right, and center, if you feel overwhelmed, maybe you would feel that there's need for you to just slow down a little bit and stop fighting. Because don't forget, I also made mention of the fact that when I was arrested a few weeks ago, the IG's representative, that was the officer that was assigned to interrogate me and prosecute, Akim Fakorede, he was DCP then, but I heard he was quietly promoted to Commissioner of Police. Requested that just to make peace, I should go and meet with the IG. And when I said no, I'm not interested, they really got offended. I'm not new to this style of persecution. It's just how they operate when you have a long-standing fight against injustice. Those whose job it is to sustain injustice and oppression will always come after you. Even when this is over, they will come after you again. When they went to court this time around, it was forgery. They went back to court to obtain an order to check my accounts with the intention of going to court to freeze those accounts and also to probably file new charges that I was involved in terrorism financing. It's 2019 all over again.
I guess we'll see the outcome of the case. Thank you so much for sparing the time despite your long day.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, group warns Nigeria against involvement in Israel-Palestinian conflict. We'll tell you more about this when we come back. Just stay with us. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu departs Brazil following high-level state visit focusing on strengthening bilateral cooperation. Nigeria's Chief Kayode Egbetokun sues human rights activist Omoyele Sowore, accuses him of forgery and defamation. Court convicts South African activist and opposition politician Julius Malema of hate speech following 2022 rally remarks. The recent arrest and alleged abduction of Palestinian community leaders in Nigeria, including outspoken activist Ramzi Ibrahim, is generating tense reactions across several pro-Palestinian civil society organizations in the country. The group, during a protest at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs headquarters in Abuja, warns that Nigeria's involvement in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, especially in light of a new security agreement with Israel, risks turning the country into a proxy player in the ongoing war. They are also calling for the immediate and unconditional release of all detained Palestinian leaders in the country. At least 8 people have been killed and 8 others seriously injured in 2 separate gun attacks in Kaduna State. The first attack occurred in Nguwan Rimi village, Chawai Chiefdom in Kauru local government area, and the second in Ngwan Fulani village, Nkuyi in Kaduna local government area. The Kauru attack is linked to a crisis spilling over from the neighboring Plateau State. Although the police in Kaduna are yet to confirm the incident, Chairman of the Chawai Development Association, Abel Adamu, in a statement said the gunmen invaded one Rimi community in the early hours of Monday and started shooting at them. Adamu called on security agencies to intensify investigations and promote peaceful coexistence. Still on security matters, the Edo State Police Command has rescued 16 kidnapped victims along the Benin-Lagos and Benin-Akure highways. The abductions occurred on August the 23rd, 2025, when armed men blocked sections of the roads and seized travelers. Swift action by officers from the Igubazua and Ekiadolo divisions, supported by tactical teams, vigilantes and local hunters, led to intensive bush combing that tracked the abductors. Commissioner of Police in the state led the Benin-Akure rescue, deploying drones and technical support. Statement from the command says 6 victims were freed there, 3 along the Benin-Lagos route and 7 more on August the 25th. As Abia State turns 34, and residents and indigents of the state have applauded what they call the progress attained so far, they also say the state has made some significant improvement in the last couple of years. Those who spoke to News Central's Chinwe Ugele in Umuahia, however, look forward to a sustained spate of development.
Already we are beginning to see changes from the road infrastructure and other things, and even the people. In fact, even the the transportation of the thing, even everybody is just comporting themselves. Both the transporters, both the motor, everybody is just comporting. Everybody, both the shop owners, things are taking a good shape. And I know from now to 1 or 2 more years. In fact, we are going to be competing with a state like Lagos.
From 2 years back, Abia looks very sharp and good to compare other cities in Nigeria, like Bonny, in particular this Pakeleke. We are just almost running towards to meet them or above them, because as I'm praying, let our governor maintain the speed he's using. In the next 3-4 years, we will beat Pakeleke.
We're still working in progress. There are so many infrastructures that need to be all the traffic lights. Yes, we need them more.
At least we have a great improvement. Though we have not gotten where we are going, but definitely we are no longer where we were. So there is a great improvement. So Abia birthday is a great thing to happen to every Abians, because the current administration is currently doing very well. At least he has done things that his predecessors were unable to achieve. So Abia at 34, there is work in progress.
Some Niger Delta youths have taken to the streets of Abuja, condemning reported plans to sell the nation's oil refineries despite billions spent on rehabilitation. They converged on the headquarters of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, expressing their grievances and also alleging that many youths in the Niger Delta have been unable to secure jobs in the National Oil Company. While meeting with representatives of the National Oil Company, they submitted a list of demands needing urgent attention.
So the situation will be resolved, here will be cleared, I can assure you, and I know that we will get to the proper level whereby every issue will be addressed.
You know, we have our sons and our daughters as ministers in this place. They have made appeal. Our message is clear now. Let us live here. Let us meet in the streets of Abuja. Let us talk to ourselves on how we can develop ourselves in preparation that we may one day have opportunity to work in NNPC.
We will not relent until we see some of you work here. We will not relent until we see a lot of us, a lot of you enjoy the resources that God gave to us freely.
Moving to politics, the Supreme Court's order on the delineation of electoral wards and units in Warri Federal Constituency continues to generate reactions from ethnic groups within the constituency. The Ijaw and Urhobo ethnic nationalities of Warri Federal Constituency at a press conference in Warri accused INEC of violating the rule of law for allegedly refusing to release results from the delineation exercise. News Central's Bola Festus had more.
In 2022, the Supreme Court ordered the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, to conduct a delineation exercise of electoral wards and polling units in Warri Federal Constituency, comprising of 3 local government areas in Delta State. This follows findings that the existing wards did not meet requirements for credible elections.
The position of the Ijaws and the Urhobo people of Warri Federal Constituency is one, that the Supreme Court ordered judgment drawn upon INEC to delineate fresh wards and units in Warri Federal Constituency presupposes that hitherto existed wards were flawed and does not satisfy statutory requirement for credible future election.
We shall not idly stand by and watch our democratic rights and franchise fretted away by INEC's lawlessness and disastrous irresponsibility. Is teaching time saves 9.
The Urhobo and Ijaw people expressed disappointment at INEC's leadership approach to the delineation order, accusing the commission of playing to the gallery.
Every exercise to make this imbalance of ward and units as far as the Warri Federal Constituency is concerned has been put in place. What is stopping INEC to carry out their statutory duty?
While the Independent Electoral Commission has already begun a fresh continuous voters registration exercise, the ethnic groups are urging a conclusion on the delineation exercise to enable their people know their polling units, particularly as another election cycle approaches.
INEC, you should hear now. Complete that your exercise. There should be nothing like voter registration or nothing like anything unless the exercise is being done.
The exercise has been carried out. And what next is the release of the final report. And INEC is trying to make us compromise our rights. We cannot belong to a state, we cannot belong to a federal constituency, and we don't have right to our votes.
The Supreme Court's ruling on the delineation of the Warri Federal Constituency and the reactions that have trailed it highlights the tension and complexities which often leads to conflicts in the area. This further underscores the need for INEC to handle the exercise transparently and judiciously. In Delta State, for News Central, Bola Festus.
Many thanks, Biola. Still ahead tonight, embattled Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook goes to court. We'll tell you why when we return. Very glad you're still with us. Outside of Nigeria now, South African opposition leader Julius Malema has been found guilty of hate speech by the Western Cape Equality Court. The conviction follows his 2022 rally remarks urging revolution and killing made after a white man allegedly assaulted an EFF member. The court ruled Malema's comments intended to incite harm and promote hatred, describing the call to kill as vigilantism and extreme incitement. The Economic Freedom Fighters Party rejected the ruling, calling it flawed and a misreading of context. The EFF is planning to challenge the decision at the Supreme Court. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook is suing President Donald Trump over his attempts to remove her. Trump demanded her firing, accusing Cook of misrepresenting mortgage documents. But federal officials can only be dismissed for cause, not over policy differences. Trump has also threatened to fire former Federal Chair Jerome Powell amid pressure for faster interest rate cuts. Aya Ibrahim, a former White House economic advisor, says Cook is caught up in Trump's broader efforts to control all government branches. Joining me now for this discussion is global policy analyst Alexander von Rugen. Thank you very much for being here. Trump pushing Powell, the chair, and Lisa Cook, governor of the Federal Reserve, to resign.
Yes, it's all about interest rates. To be fair, the Federal Reserve is sacred ground. It's supposed to run independent of politics. In fact, that's what gives the U.S. dollar its stability. So when you politicize it for election promises or to show that your policies are lowering interest rates or lowering inflation, it's a manipulation of the system, and that's very dangerous right now, what's going on.
Okay, there are comments here and there that there's some racial coloring. So does the fact that Lisa Cook is the first Afro-American woman to be appointed to that role have anything to do with the request for resignation? I mean, there seems to be a disagreement as to the reason why Trump is pushing for her to leave.
Well, I think the optics here can be very confusing, but in terms of this being a racial issue, I don't believe so. Lisa was appointed by Biden back in 2022, so she's basically a youngster as a governor of the Federal Reserve. I think of the 7 governors, one of them, Adriana, resigned recently, which left room for Trump to put a new appointee in, which will be a Republican pick. 2 other of the 7 governors are Republican as well, even though Powell appears to be a Republican, was actually appointed by Obama back in 2011. I think she's a victim of being low-hanging fruit. They've done a background check on her, and they found some irregularities on a mortgage application she made in Michigan and then moving to Georgia, and they're citing mortgage fraud as the cause for her dismissal, because although the president appoints the governors and the head of the chair of the Federal Reserve, he can only fire them with cause. So in this particular case, Ms. Cook is fighting it and threatening legal action for wrongful dismissal, which is her right to do if, in fact, these charges are false.
What are the global economic implications should Trump take control of the Federal Reserve?
That's very dangerous. As I've indicated, the Federal Reserve, although it's a government entity, it's a separate and distinct entity within the government. And its mandate to run independently using long-term economic data and monetary policy as opposed to short-term political pressure. That stabilizes the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is the global currency by which all other currencies are traded against. It's important to note that as soon as Trump started making threats to dismiss Powell, the U.S. dollar dropped internationally against other currencies, and there was a sell-off of American bonds. It's in the billions of dollars when one makes a comment like this. So, as I said, the Federal Reserve is supposed to be sacred ground, running independently, dictating American policy to take the country and the dollar value in the long term. It's important to note, too, a president has a 4-year term. Governors of the Federal Reserve are appointed for 14 years. much like Supreme Court judges who have lifetime appointments. That was also interesting to note because Trump has been systematically taking control of all government departments that interact with each other and allow him to dictate these executive orders without opposition. The federal judiciary, the Supreme Court, for example, has 6 Republican-appointed judges as opposed to 3 Democrat. We have the Department of Defense, which now saw dismissal of 6 high-ranking generals for Pete Hegseth, as well as generals friendly to the Republican cause. The FBI is run by Kash Patel, a Republican. The Department of Justice, run by Pam Bondi, a devout Republican. So you can see where this is going. And I give Ms. Cook kudos for trying to stand up for her rights and fighting it, because although the Constitution says she can't be fired without cause, there are reasons and cases being created here which have happened before. Trump was up against the Attorney General of New York State that went after him in his pre-election, citing criminal activity in his real estate empire.
So if she's protected by the Constitution, why is she suing then?
Well, because the government, Trump, is claiming that she's being fired with cause regarding improprieties in a mortgage application. She claimed her principal residence was in Michigan, and then sometime later she claimed a principal residence in Georgia. Now, she may have just moved. I mean, that happens. I can't comment on that. I think the facts will come out before the courts, and a judge will have to decide.
We're on a short break, and when we come back, we have business, sports, and entertainment for you. Do stay with us.
In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has directed that all points of sale terminals nationwide be geotagged to curb fraud and strengthen oversight of digital payment platforms. In a statement on Wednesday, the Apex Bank said the initiative will ensure traceability, security, and real-time monitoring of transactions. Devices operating outside their registered merchant locations will be flagged, while ghost or clone terminals will be eliminated. The CBN warned that non-compliant terminals will be deactivated after the October 31, 2025 deadline. Licensed operators must register POS devices with aggregators and provide accurate merchant coordinates. In the northern part of Africa, Egypt has signed a $220 million agreement with investors from the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and China to establish a major renewable energy complex in the Suez Canal Economic Zone. The cabinet announced on Wednesday that the project will integrate the production of solar cells, solar panels, and energy storage systems, marking a significant step toward Egypt's clean energy ambitions. Once completed, the facility will boast a production capacity of 2 gigawatts each of solar cells and solar panels. And looking at the markets now, the NGX All-Share Index extended its decline, slipping 0.36% to close at 141,248.76 points. That's about 0.23% drop, and a market capitalization of 89.37 trillion naira. Well, the continued downward trend reflects sustained profit taken across major sectors. And talking about sectoral performance, we understand that the banking index dropped 0.76% as investors booked gains in Tier 1 counters. Insurance followed with a sharp 3.42% decline, weighed down by sell-offs in low-cap stocks. Oil and gas actually climbed 0.18%, edging higher in terms of differential performance. And consumer goods shared 0.86%, while industrial goods are closed flat, indicating cautious trading activity in cement and building material stocks. Well, the market remains cautious despite slight support from select sectors. And that's it on business. I am Lekon Onobanjo. Do stay tuned for sports news.
And in sports, Nigeria's Bayelsa Queens have booked their place in the semi-finals of the WAFU B Women's Champions League qualifiers. The Queens dominated ASCO of Togo 3-0 in their second Group B match. ASCO's Omo scored an own goal in the 47th minute. 6 minutes later, it was Alaba Olabi who doubled the lead for Bayelsa. Shakirat Moshood sealed the victory with a third goal in the 80th minute. The clean sheet victory means Bayelsa Queens advanced to the semi-finals. Now they are now one step closer to qualifying for the CAF Women's Champions League finals. In athletics, Nigeria's Udodi Onwuzurike has secured qualification for the 2025 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo through the updated world rankings. The 200-meter specialist, who has enjoyed a standout season, sealed his spot after climbing the rankings released this week. Onwuzurike, the highest-ranked Nigerian in the men's 200-meter, holds the season's best of 20.17 seconds and underlined his progress with a third-place finish at his debut Diamond League race in Brussels. The 21-year-old sprinter is set for another major test at the Diamond League finals in Zurich on Friday, where he will face world champion Noah Lyles and rising Olympic champion Leslie Tebogo. The Tokyo competition will mark a significant milestone in his career as it targets global success. Now the stage is set for the 9th edition of the National Youth Games, with an impressive number of athletes and officials confirmed to participate. Following the conclusion of the digital registration management process, a total of 6,382 individuals representing all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory are expected to converge in Asaba for the Games, scheduled to be opened on the 29th of August through the 6th of September. The finalized entries so far include 4,000 athletes, 635 coaches, 386 team officials, and 400 state delegates. And the UEFA Champions League returns for the 2025-2026 season, with 36 clubs vying for Europe's most coveted trophy. The official draw for the league phase takes place on Thursday, the 28th of August at the Grimaldi Forum in Monaco, France, and will be streamed live on UEFA's website. The revamped format continues, with each team playing 8 matches in the league phase. The top 8 advance directly to the round of 16, while teams placed 9th to 24th contest playoffs. Elite clubs including Real Madrid, Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Inter Milan, and Barcelona will discover their opponents in what promises to be a thrilling campaign. Now, Norway striker Erling Haaland will play under the name Brought Haaland on his national team shirt, starting with the country's upcoming fixtures. The 25-year-old has opted to include both his father's and mother's surnames, in line with Norwegian naming traditions. The change will be displayed on his iconic number 9 jersey, strengthening his connection to his heritage and family identity. Haaland revealed the update through his social media, confirming that all future international matches will feature the new name. It remains uncertain if Manchester City will follow suit for Premier League games, but the striker's next appearance for Norway will officially mark the debut of Brought Haaland. And in the Carabao Cup, currently, Manchester United are playing a 2-2 draw with Grimsby, and that game is poised to finish 2-2 and maybe get into penalties for the next stage. And that's a wrap on Sports Update. I am Udoka Njoku. Edewo is right here for entertainment.
As Udoka said, Edewo is here with the latest in entertainment. Hello, Edewo.
I'm all right. How are you doing, Felicity?
I'm good.
Well, let me just jump right in, because right now, Afrobeats is happy because, yes, Tiwa Savage is back in the news. Yes, I have a smile. I have a smile. Yeah, Nigerian superstar Tiwa Savage is set to release her new album, This One Is Personal. Yes, on August 29, 2025. Her first full-length project since 2020's Celia. Now, the 13-track album, recorded in Nashville, London, and Lagos, explores pain, growth, and resilience through an intimate Afrobeat sound. Now, featuring minimal collaborations, including Skepta and Taves, Savage emphasized a personal connection, sharing her 5-year journey of career transition, motherhood, and self-discovery. Announced on X, the album has sparked global fan excitement, with hashtag #ThisOneIsPersonal trending as Savage engages a Q&A revealing the intentional, story-driven vision behind the project. Let's just listen to this. Let's watch this. Well, as you can see from there, she put the date 29th August 2025. That's like a teaser to get people all, excited. What do you think, Felicity?
Well, anything that Tiwa does, there's always some class. Some will like it, some will not.
Yeah.
But she is consistent. She's a celebrity. She is loved. So we're looking forward to it and wishing her the best.
Well, yes, I like that. Wishing her the best, like every other person is as well who loves good music.
Yes.
Well, let's move on to some controversial gist. Yes, as Didi's back in the news. He just scored a legal win with while he awaits sentencing in the federal case. Now, a New York judge has dismissed a civil lawsuit filed by a man who claimed Didi drugged and sexually assaulted him in L.A. In a nightclub back in 2015. Now, the judge ruled the case was filed too late, citing the 5-year statute of limitations, and clarified that a 2019 law extending it to 20 years isn't retroactive. Now, the claims against Didi's companies were also tossed out. While Didi has recently seen several civil suits dismissed, he still faces dozens more and sentencing in the federal case on October 3rd. Felicity, October 3rd is very close. People can't wait. What do you think about Didi?
The case was not dismissed because he was found not guilty. The case was dismissed because it was out of the time frame to legally put it to test.
Yes.
So describing it as a win, well, a win is a win. That's what we say these days.
Yeah.
The man has gone through hell and back, but let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens October 3rd, right? Fingers crossed. Well, that's all we have on entertainment tonight.
That's the news tonight. But before we go, here's a quick reminder of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu departs Brazil following high-level state visit focusing on strengthening bilateral cooperation. Nigeria's police chief, Kayode Egbetokun, sues human rights activist Omoyele Sowore, accuses him of forgery and defamation. We also told you that court has convicted South African activist and opposition politician Julius Malema of hate speech following 2022 rally remarks. As always, we'd love to hear from you. Please share your thoughts. Send your report to the number showing now on your screen, or you can do that by following us on all social media platforms at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, or you can just stream on YouTube in Avo TV. Thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow. Good night.